Go go Power Rangers. Do 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 do. Go go Power Rangers. Do 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 do. Go go Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'm not overwhelmingly sure that was the guitar solo.
I have no idea. I have no idea whether it was or not. I don't remember the Power Rangers. I remember the Go Go Power Rangers. That's about it.
Yeah, but I think that was about right.
I don't recall you having sung that before, so I'm pretty sure that is a new one we've got.
I'm hoping so.
We should probably go on.
Definitely.
We should probably start documenting what we've actually done, so we don't start reusing them. Although I think we'll probably realise.
I'm sure someone will point it out to us at some point.
It just seems odd that we haven't done that one up till now, and we've talked about it on a few occasions. You'd think we'd have done the Power Rangers theme tune at this point.
Well, I have now done it, so...
Excellent. Check that one off your list. We should make and print out, make a bingo card that you can print out that people can play along at home and check off each week a different theme tune when we do it.
Is there a prize involved?
The pride of knowing you won at Button Mash Bingo.
It's a hell of a prize.
It's the best prize. It's the only prize you could ever ask for.
If you were asking for anything for this Christmas, that would be it.
There must be like a little web app somewhere where you could make like a bingo generator thing, so we could print off a bunch of cards and just sort of have it generate random TV shows, and people could just check off the ones that we've done and as we do them.
That might be something to do at the next Button Mash event.
What? Just have you do 90s children TV shows karaoke and people playing bingo along with it?
Yep.
Okay. Let's do that.
That's a rocking good night.
One man karaoke.
And bingo.
And bingo. One man karaoke and bingo.
I'm surprised that you've not gone to Shatneroke already.
One man Shatneroke and bingo.
The dream is done.
Go, Power Rangers. It doesn't go too well with that. It doesn't work well with a lot of these songs, I don't think.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase.
That one's almost there already to begin with, though. That was more spoken than it was song anyway, I think.
Arabian Nights. Arabian Days.
That one's not so bad. That could work. I can dig that one.
That one would be fun.
But then we've got stuff like, what was it? Digimon. Digimon wouldn't work.
No, Digimon would be a spectacular thing. And I don't just mean it's a television show, I mean... shall we intro the show?
Maybe. One day.
So people just wonder what the hell we're rambling on about.
We're just a bunch of people who really love talking about TV show theme tunes. Welcome to the TV show theme tune podcast. We talk about Power Rangers and Digimon.
Because why not?
Because why not? Why would you not?
We don't miss our childhoods at all.
I don't feel like I've wasted my life.
Anyway, welcome to the Button Mash podcast. We're going to be talking about video games when we stop talking about TV shows. And probably video game accessories, because that's the thing we do. We'll be here for a couple of hours. We're talking about gaming experiences for the week, doing some gaming news, and some gaming releases for the upcoming week.
Wonderful.
Podcast theme tune this week was Power Rangers, sung by Michael.
Hello.
And we're joined this week by Will.
Hello.
So, are we done with the TV, or does anyone want to get anything else out of their system at this point? Anyone going to go, do you remember that show?
Do you remember Hey Arnold?
I do remember Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was a good show. I like that one. It's one of the few ones I do particularly remember, so... Although I'm not sure I would remember the theme tune.
It was very up-tempo jazz, I remember.
Up-tempo... And, well, it's not ringing any bells, so...
Well, if we're talking Nickelodeon, then Real Monsters was ace.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. That was good.
That's one that passed me by. I don't remember that. I don't even know the name of that.
Were you a Nickelodeon fan or were you a Cartoon Network man?
Cartoon Network. Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
We weren't rich enough to afford interesting TV. We had BBC.
So you're a Chucklevision man.
Chucklevision. Yes. Oh, there's
Oh
a
my
theme
God.
tune for you.
I think that's next week.
Oh, have we already done that?
I don't think so, no.
I feel like that's. I feel like that's something you would have sung. You strike me as the sort of man who would burst out into a rousing round of Chucklevision at any given opportunity.
Yeah, it's well known that I can't go into like church and pray because 10 minutes in, I go Chucklevision.
Now, if you'll turn to page 34 of your hymn sheets, it will be this week's hymn will be Chucklevision.
Oh well, choir doing Chucklevision.
That needs to happen.
Yeah. Let's go to church.
You just need to get 50 old ladies all singing Chucklevision.
And just convince them it's a hymn.
Yes. They're probably in a state of befuddlement. They won't know.
The views of the Button Mash host. That's a record.
Oh, I think that might be. Yes. Anyway, yes, let's move on to some video games, maybe. Maybe?
Okay, yeah, why not?
Alright, what have we been playing this week?
Well, would you like to start?
Right, well, I've been playing the Old City Leviathan. Played through the entirety of it, and I have to say it's really, really short. It's only about an hour long. It's sort of it's a first-person exploration game. I think it opens with you are entering a broken mind. You cannot trust anything that you see or hear, and so it's got some surreal qualities to it. But I have to say, for the amount of time that I was able to play it, there wasn't enough content for the price.
This is one of the new releases we were looking at last week, yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
How much
were we talking for that one?
I think it was less than a tenner, but I got it in the sale. I think it was like 10% off, so...
Oh, right, did it hit right in the middle of Steam doing its everything's on cheap thing? Which is like the worst time to launch a game ever. Because everyone's expecting everything to be cheap, and it's like, well, I don't want to sell it for 75% off. I've only just made it.
Yeah. But potentially more sales, so swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I suppose there's an element of that. I can't remember which one it was. I think it... In fact, tell you what, it would have been Freedom Planet, actually. Freedom Planet. I know they delayed their game launch by a week at last minute because Steam sprung the summer sale on them. So their launch date landed right in the middle of that, and they were like, no, we're not doing that. I mean, it's just... I think there's other people who have done it before. You say that might get more attention, but I don't think that's true. I think there's other indies have released stuff in the middle of sales before, and it's the fact that everything's on cheap, the attention is drawn elsewhere, and of course they changed the front page of Steam, so it's really hard to find new releases. They don't show the new releases, they show all the stuff that's on cheap. So, if trying to launch a game then, you don't get all the natural promotion that comes from saying, hey, this game's brand new! That you don't get that, you just get, hey, these games are cheap! And by the time the games have stopped being cheap, you're no longer on the front page. So, I'm not sure that works out too well, so... Off the back of other people's having done their research, Freedom Planet were like, yeah, we're going to hang fire on this just a week or so, just to make sure that, we're actually on the front page of Steam when we launch our game. Because
that does make sense.
Yeah, otherwise nobody's going to find us.
Well, currently it's when this recording goes out, it'll still be on sale. Old City Leviathan, for 25% off. So that brings it down to £8.24.
That's a pretty good launch discount, actually.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's good, but I still probably wouldn't pay that for potentially an hour's content.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I can follow that.
It is super lovely to walk through, but there needed to be a lot more of it.
I forget which one this one was specifically, because there were like 2 exploration and adventure things that we were looking at last week, I know.
Yeah, one was
a bit
one
more...
was hyper colourful, and this one's
very
more
stylised. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's...
Is there a lot of gameplay in it, or is it just exploration kind of things?
No,
it is just set dressings to walk around.
Yes, you do not get to interact with anything apart from opening doors. It's literally look. You can't pick up anything. There's no real objective, and sometimes you can walk through a level really quickly without seeing everything. It doesn't give you any prompt as to what direction you should be going in to view everything. There's notes that you can find throughout the game, but I haven't even bothered to read them. I found them all, and I haven't actually bothered to read them.
That seems like surely that would be like if that's the only bit you can actually do, surely that's like the main bits of the game, because it's by default the only bit of the game?
It has a background story to it, where there was a war, and then that separated people into factions, and those factions went to war, and it was all a little bit role. It didn't really make a lot of sense. It may make sense when I read through the notes later, but...
So you're planning to go back and delve into the lore a bit, then, are you?
I'll read through them. I might as well.
Worth.
Yeah, but I don't think I'll be playing through the game again because... Well, I did do a second playthrough of it because it was so short, and I just didn't really find anything new.
Fair enough. I never did get into Ultra World. Ultra World being the other one that we're looking at, which kind of was the stylized one. There's both of those games I was wanting to look at last year. I never did get around to either of them. I mean, the Advent of Indies project going, I've been playing through buttloads of other weird and wonderful and interesting things. So other stuff kind of fell by the wayside, focusing on just getting through as much other stuff as I could possibly. Sorry, go on.
It does sound like you're trying to jam a lot of things into your month.
Yeah, well, I can't remember if I talked about this last week. I think we did, didn't we? Briefly.
A little bit.
Yeah, the Advent of Indies obviously is advent-of-indies.com, which is a project run by Rat King Entertainment. They're doing a new indie game from a new indie developer every day, and I'm trying to do a video on their stuff. And yeah, that's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally do. I'm waiting for the segue here because I feel like it should be due.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
Normally you're like an eagle ready to jump on the word video, but go on.
Well, considering how much stuff you've covered this month, I think I'll get another opportunity, so let's move on.
Okay. So yeah, I've been looking through a bunch of stuff, and some of those the developers put out stuff that wasn't conducive to making a video. On a lot of the days, the freebie stuff they put out has been like, the first time around I did, there was stuff that was like iOS, and it was like, well, that's no use to me. This year, it seems to be more, they keep putting things like soundtracks out, and it's like, well, that's nice, that's cool that you're giving that away, but purely from a I want to make a video of this stuff perspective, it's a little trickier to actually work with a soundtrack.
So do a lot of people make videos for Advent of Indies, or are you just trying to get a little bit of extra content out on your site?
I'll tell you what, I have no idea actually. The first time around I was competing with like 2 other people that did Advent of Indies, and I know full well they stopped like within the first 3 or 4 days, and I think in 2012 I was the only person who consistently managed to cover the whole thing. I have not actually done a YouTube search to see if anybody else is actually doing it this year, so I shall.
So you've been doing content on this?
Yes, I have.
I wonder if there's any place, I don't know, say on YouTube that one could go look to watch this on.
Yeah, that's a place you might be able to find it. You could find that at youtube.com/buttonmashempire.
Are you happy?
I am very happy.
Very good.
See, what I'm also happy about is that I am pretty much the only YouTube result for Advent of Indies.
You've found a niche market.
Mm-hmm. I found an exclusive market. The top link, the top results are, by the looks of it, this year I think I am the only person doing it because all the thumbnails are just all my stuff so far.
Well done.
And then the bits that are in between my stuff is actually my stuff from 2 years ago.
So you've kind of got the market covered then, yeah? Yeah,
I think so. I'm trying to find someone else. There's not a lot. There's one other one from Razastrophe, Ludum Dare, Advent of Indies, Eclectic Delights. Doesn't even sound like that's particularly relevant. I think this might be one of the developers actually had their game in there, maybe? I'm not really sure. Interesting. No, I'm not finding anyone to compete with, so I'm okay with this. This is my thing.
Yeah.
This is you
Oh,
taking
man.
up, you hogging the market.
And the first thing that pops up that isn't Advent of Indies is the West Indies win the first ever World Cup Lord's Advent calendar 4th of December by Lord's Cricket Ground.
Yeah, that does seem to suggest you've got the market down.
Yeah,
When you're competing with cricket.
I'll take it. I'm okay with this.
I imagine nobody else is covering it due to the difficulty of, making the content, like you're saying.
I don't think it's necessarily too difficult to make. If you were to exclusively focus on it, it's very easy enough to make one video a day, to be honest. And if you were to just make that your content for December, if you'd like, okay, for December, these are the videos I'm going to make, it'd be easy enough. It's the fact that normally I make one video a day, with the occasional exception of days when stuff like, I don't know, the podcast goes up, that kind of thing. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to do another segue, but I think
Were
two of
you-
them.
Were you about to segue into the thing that we're making now and people are watching now?
Quite possibly.
I love it.
Carry on.
So yeah, aside from that, normally I don't do 2 videos. I mean, my internet, generally speaking, isn't actually really fast enough to get up 2 videos in one day with any degree of ease. What I've taken to doing is putting the videos onto a memory stick and then uploading it on my laptop in another room overnight, so that I don't have computer whirring away, keeping me awake. And I suppose with that in mind, further down the line, I could probably continue to use that technique to actually make more content in future, I guess. I don't know. I know a lot of people put out a lot more content than me, and they do it a lot easier. I know several people, even with smaller channels than me, that put out 2-3 videos a day. I know one guy puts out like anywhere between 6 and 9 videos a day, which is ridiculous. I have no idea how he manages that kind of pace at all.
Is it would you describe it as quality video, or is it just making content for the sake of making content?
You're asking me to insult my friends here now.
Yes, what do you really think about these people?
Do you think they are wasting their lives?
I don't necessarily think it's the highest quality. I think a lot of it is the sort of. I think when you start getting to the point where you are doing that kind of content, I think quality needs to be sacrificed just to be able to maintain that kind of quality, that kind of quantity even. I think to make that many videos in one day involves you just sitting and playing games for a few hours and then cutting it up into bits and then just uploading tons of stuff. Which I don't... I mean, depending on the commentator, that can work quite well.
Yeah.
And I certainly enjoy this guy's commentary, but nonetheless, it's not... You compare it to some other projects like something that takes a lot of effort. I would say a series I'm watching at the minute is one of the Yogscast crew, Martin Littlewood. Every Christmas he does a Christmas Advent calendar thing, and I don't know who he works with to do this, but they have this massive custom-built map with loads and loads of challenges and interesting things for them to explore, for them to do. And he teams up with about 3 other guest people, and they go off as a team of 4 and do all these interesting things each day. And it's kind of got this sort of slowly overarching narrative throughout the entire month, and that's a really cool, really elaborate project that's had a lot of work put into it. It's not just playing a game and talking about it. There are, on the Let's Play spectrum, there is very much a different degree of sort of effort and quality that can go into any given video. And I think when you get to the point where you're just dumping tons and tons of footage onto YouTube to get as much out as possible, I think quality necessarily is sacrificed just to be able to get there.
That's fair enough.
Sorry, people, I've just totally insulted. I'm not saying it's low effort, but I do it too, and it's totally low effort. There are days when I'm like, okay, well, I meant to play for a little bit, and I've got 45 minutes, so I'm going to cut that into 2 videos, and I don't have to worry about this in 2 days' time.
You must throw yourself at the knees of the internet YouTube community and apologise.
And endeavour only to put a minimum of 5 hours work into every 15-minute video.
Exactly.
Right, okay. I shall do that from now on.
Or you will be whipped.
Oh, okay. I don't want to be whipped.
Oh dear.
Was that an attempt to whip noise?
I thought it was...
There was a noise that came through on my end, but it just sounded like a very loud click. So I didn't know if someone was trying to make a whip sound, and it just didn't work over the mic.
No.
Okay then.
You're paranoid. Looking out for that whip.
Must be. So yes, games I played under the Advent of Indies banner this week include 7 Meditations, which was some gliding simulator thing, which took me ages to get the hang of because I don't do flying at best of times. So it took me like 5 minutes before I realised if you try and glide sideways, you fall out of the sky. I didn't realise... Well, you don't have any visual representation of what you are. It doesn't look like you've got wings. It's done from first-person perspective. You have no body or anything. It's just you're flying through this weird abstract sort of structure. And I was like, you need to roll a bit to steer into the corners. And then I'm like, every time I'm rolling to steer into a corner, I just fall out of the sky. I was like, well, rolling isn't working very well. It took me ages just to cotton on that, you're supposed to level out immediately after you finish the roll.
Yeah, well...
So that was the thing.
So you weren't very majestic then?
I was not terrible. I was the exact opposite of majestic. I was entirely unmajestic. I did Greek and Wicked. Greek and Wicked was some Swing Submarine, who are the guys who made Blocks That Matter, which I think you guys might remember.
Yes, I think I made
that one rings a bell. Which was the first ever attempt at a group video we ever made that never made it anywhere whatsoever.
Oh my god, I remember that now.
Yeah, that one. That's going back a bit.
This was 2000 and... Oh, I say 12?
I think it was 11. I started doing this in 2012.
Oh wow.
So I think it was probably more like, I don't know. It might have been earlier in 2012 maybe, I don't know. Either way, yeah, we kind of got together and tried to record something and then never did anything with it.
Well, to be fair, the quality wasn't particularly brilliant.
Probably not. So yeah, they made a crossover between Game & Watch, the old Nintendo Pocket game thing that came before the Game Boy, and God of War. Complete with QuickTime event executions.
That sounds like a good combination.
It's interesting, I'll give it that. It was also, I believe, when I looked it up later, there was something... After you kill the Hydra, there's some weird... Spoiler alert, by the way. There is only one boss, and it's all you fight. That's the entire game, you have to fight a Hydra. But once you kill it, you get some quote about capitalism, and I was just like, what's this? And just kind of glossed over it, because I had no idea what it is. I think it's supposed to be some scathing critique of the situation in Greece, I guess. I'm not really sure. I was like, that one passed me by. I'm not political enough for that one.
Are you sure it wasn't a message from the Communist Party or something?
I don't know, maybe Swing Submarine are a big part of the Communist Party of Greece.
Would you like to visit Cuba?
I did Snake Oil Stanley, which was Mojang's thing that they did for Games Against Ebola last week, because that was a filler content for a game I couldn't play. They released a soundtrack for a game, and then the premium game, which, if it's the right price, I'll probably pick it up and have a look at it anyway. And in this particular instance, it was not the right price, it was 15 quid. And I was like, well, I'm not paying 15 quid for a game to play for 15 minutes that I'm never going to play again. It's just not what my budget does these days.
Not viable.
Not particularly. So yeah, it was like, okay, let's find something else. It was Fixer over on the Strangeland server. I was like, what about the Games Against Ebola bundle? Did you grab that? And I was like, yes, I did. That's a good call. I probably picked the worst of the lot, I imagine. I very much get the impression that Snake Oil Stanley was... Because Mojang made 3 games in that game jam. And this was bottom of the list, and I think it was they ran out of time before they could put any noteworthy or interesting or entertaining gameplay in it at all. Because you play a snake oil merchant, you start out with $100, and you need to buy a bunch of ingredients, a bunch of random potions, and then you sell them to people. There is no game involving selling them to people, they auto-sell to people.
Oh dear.
You stand there for a minute or so, and people walk up to your stall, automatically buy things if they want them, and then at the end of the day, you've got your profits and you invest it back into buying more potions. And then so on and so forth. The longer you stay in a town, the less inclined people are to buy stuff, and then eventually you move on to another town, and for whatever reason, apparently you couldn't bring all the potions in your cart, you have to leave them all behind when you go to the next town. I don't get that at all, but then you go to the next town and you repeat it all again. When you arrive fresh in the town, nobody's ever heard of you, so they're all willing to buy all your crap again. And it's like, this is not a game. There's no game here.
That's an episode of The Simpsons where he makes the love potion.
I don't know that one.
The Simpsons and Son tonic. Homer's with his dad.
This is not ringing bells. I don't recall that in the slightest.
Are we related? No, we're not. Then why is his face? Why is his face on the bottle?
That vaguely rings a bell.
Just quote it. That's the best way.
Well, what I felt with this one was it feels like there's like the seed of a really good idea in there, and what I feel like the idea is Oregon Trail, which I discussed with you guys recently because both of you are complete ignorant buffoons who've never heard of Oregon Trail.
Not that you're insulting us or anything.
I totally did. I just called you ignorant buffoons. Anyway,
I'm getting the whip.
So yeah, I felt like it would be Oregon Trail mixed with, if you actually had an actual selling things to people minigame with Reciteer, which was don't know if you know that one.
No, not even.
Really? That's been on sale 1,000,001 times on Steam. It's really quite well acclaimed. It's a game in which you play a small girl who needs to run a shop in an RPG game, and adventurers come to you and buy swords and potions and equipment from you, and you need to make profits.
Of course, because
that does make.
Sorry? One of you at a time.
It does sound familiar.
Because if I wanted to buy adventuring equipment, I would seek out an 8-year-old girl.
Well, it's her father's shop, but her father disappears under mysterious circumstances one night and never returns. And
did he go out to buy cigarettes?
I can't remember what I can't for life of me remember what the implied context is. The girl's interpretation of it is, oh, he went out to fight a heroic dragon. He's probably out on an epic adventure somewhere, and he'll be back any day now. And the story is there's this very dark sort of undertone that is exactly what you say. He's just fucked off, basically.
Cheeriness.
I know. So it never overtly says that. It's just kind of
you're left to assume.
Yeah, it's the kind of it's I would say it's like kind of almost, I guess, Pixar kind of humor, where it's like the jokes in there for the adults that the kids just won't even fucking notice. And kids will play like, yay, I'm running a shop, and the adults are like, whoa, okay, that's dark, I like it.
Gotta admire a man that abandons his family.
Yeah, but come on, people like dark humor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's that kind of thing. I was like, if you had elements of running the shop like that, combined with trying to work your way across America, of Oregon Trail, trying to get to, I don't know, the Gold Rush or whatever, find some bloody reasoning context, I think there could be an interesting game in there. Instead of having to go out and hunt animals and shit to get your resources to survive, if at each town you stop at, trying to go west across America, you just have to sell shit to people and scam them out of their money instead of actually legitimately going and hunting animals for food. That'd be quite an interesting concept.
Yeah, I could see that.
If I ever get my act together and make a fucking video game at some point in my life, I might have a go at that.
So, look forward to that in 2017.
That's optimistic, isn't it?
Oh, if you get on it now.
That's not going to happen.
Sorry.
There's another one that came with a soundtrack, but it was a soundtrack of a game I already owned, so I just played that instead, which was PID, which is a fairly okay, few interesting mechanics, platforming thing. Nothing terribly compelling. I think it came from the era when there was lots of platform games, and all the platform games were just like, it's exactly the same as all the others, but we've got one gimmick. And in this one, it's like, you can throw a star on the floor, the star shoots a beam out of it, and if you stand in the beam, you get pushed along through the air, and the beam sort of reverse tractor beam or whatever it is, I don't know. And you can get to various obstacles and find your way through traps and spikes and whatnot by doing that. And I did watch someone on YouTube play that way back when, and they got super frustrated and rage quit after like 3 episodes. So I'm glad I only played the first 15 minutes of it, to be quite honest, because I did the bit that was easy. I went, hey, this is cool, I'm done. But I know it gets horrible later on. What else have I done? Video just gone up today is Dream Fishing, which was from Sophie Holden, who I know... I don't know I think she's gone back and forth on this a few times. I know at one point she was a big supporter of the Ouya.
Ooh.
Ouya?
The Ouya, you know the Ouya.
Do I know the Ouya?
The kickstarted games console.
No?
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the biggest Kickstarters ever.
Is that the classical platformer one for Nintendo?
No, it's you know that tiny little silver box that I quite often bring to our Button Mash events that we've never used for anything. It's that yeah.
Okay.
That's the nature of the games console. Everybody was like, "Ooh, this could be really interesting. This is a really exciting, interesting, brand new platform, a new frontier, an entire games console put together through Kickstarter." Nobody uses it for anything at all. I rushed out on like launch day to buy it from Game for 100 quid because it was like, hey, an entire games console for 100 quid? Yeah, that's good. I want in on that. Sure, that sounds good. This is great. I have barely touched it.
Oh.
I played the Wii more than I played the Ouya.
Wow.
Dear. Oh, that makes sense.
That's an endorsement right there.
Yeah. So it's got some interesting things. I mean, the problem is that it's... I think the main problem it's got is that they, as part of their games distribution thing, they insist on every game needs to have a trial version, a demo, and a lot of... the problem with a lot of demos is a lot of gamers just play the demo and never actually buy the game. That is... I think that's a large part of the reason a lot of companies don't make demos these days. If you notice, the demo has very much died a death, broadly speaking. Nobody ever does that anymore because so many people will just play the demo and go, okay, I'm done, I've had my fill, that's it, I don't need to play this anymore. I mean, just think how many games you own that you've only ever played 15 minutes or whatever of, and you'll probably never pick up again. Just look at your goddamn Steam library.
Yeah, that does make up a lot of my Steam list.
Yeah, if you had played the demo of that game, would you have had any drastically different experience to if you'd bought the game? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's. I think that's half the reason for the failure of the Ouya. I know Sophie's a big supporter of that, but I'm not quite sure she makes a lot of money out of the Ouya, to be honest. I'm afraid. I know she also puts. I know she puts a lot of stuff out through itch.io, which is probably not a very well-known games distribution site. It's big with indies, if nothing else. I think they're supposed to be a lot more developer-friendly than the likes of Steam, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think they're a particularly big competitor to Steam, to be honest, but I think it's popular with indies for distribution. And I did find a game through there that this was actually going to be the game that I put out in the place of whatever Snake Oil Stanley ended up replacing, to be honest. And it was called Petrichor, or Petrichor, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Petrichor. I don't know how you pronounce that at all.
It sounds a bit like a fish.
It does a little bit, actually, yes. It was a... Will, you'd probably like the style of it. A very nice pixel art thing.
I do like pixel art.
I know you do. I do as well, which is why it got my attention. I saw the thumbnail for it, and it was really pretty pixel art, and it was like free to play. I was like, ooh, okay. I was like, oh well, recommended donation $3. And I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, for $3, sure, go on, I'll pay $3 for it. Picked it up. It does kind of have one game-breaking bug. The rest of it's okay. It's a side-scrolling platformer thing with a few interesting mechanics. It's a very short experience. You can get through the entire thing in under 15 minutes, to be honest, if you burn through it. Probably a little bit longer than that, 20, 25 minutes first time through, maybe, depending on how quickly you figure out the mechanics and where you're supposed to go. But, yeah. Then when you get to what I presume is right at the end, as the final thing, you find some ancient relic which starts glowing and making what I can only describe as a hypnotoad noise. The That is exactly the noise. Thank you for that. That is perfect. No it makes precisely that noise, and the game, it does that for about 10-15 seconds, and then the game crashes.
I played it at all.
I gave it a second chance. I was like, oh, maybe this was just a fluke. I shall go back and record the video again. I'll do it again. After all, it's only 15 minutes of my time. It's fine. It's whatever. I'll have another go at this, sure. It got to that point again. It crashed again. It's like, okay, Mojang, hello. Let's do Snake Oil Stanley. Snake Oil Stanley is not as interesting as Petrichor, to be honest. Petrichor was a very interesting game. I just wish it didn't fucking crash at the final scene.
It's kind of as a game breaker.
Yep, that is actually what you would probably describe as a game-breaking bug. Like I say, I'm pretty sure that's the end of the game. I don't think there's anything else after that, but hard to say because it crashes. I'm pretty sure that's the end, so I don't feel like I've missed a lot. I don't feel totally cheated out of my money. It's like, oh my god, it totally broke, and now what am I supposed to do now? I'm never going to see this game. It's like, no, I've seen 99% of this game. But it would have been nice to see that last 1%, you know?
That 1%. That's all. That makes the big difference.
Well, given that it's the last final bit of any kind of narrative that the game would have had, you know, it's closure at that point. That's what that is.
So you don't have closure then, no?
I don't have closure. That 1% was what I needed for closure. I need to know how it ends. I need to know what the Hypnotoad relic thing was and why it was Hypnotoad.
And now you'll never know.
Yeah, no, I probably won't. I wonder if it was exclusive to my computer though. I mean, you can never tell with these things. It might be some issue with my computer causing it to hang there each time. Other people might play it okay.
Can't you Google the plot to see if you have missed anything?
We're talking about an unknown game on an unknown website that I picked up for $3. Probably not.
You never know. Worth a shot.
Fine, okay, let's look on YouTube. Petrichor. Has anybody... Okay, apparently that means something in, I presume, some other language.
I'm sure it's easy to understand. I'm sure it's translatable.
Well, no, it seems to be used in a lot of foreign-sounding music. A lot of world music kind of thing, I guess. I'm not sure. It brings up a lot of music videos and stuff, and just generally music tracks from various artists by the name of Petrichor.
Well, there you go.
But nothing on the game. I'm not seeing any pixel art platform games. So, no, I'm probably not going to be able to find out how that one ends. Unless one of you guys want to play it and tell me. Or try to play it. Hopefully be able to tell me.
I may do. If I can find it.
Oh, hang on. Oh, no, on the third page, Fedora Gamer, 1 week ago, posted Free Game Friday, Petrichor. Does YouTube still... I does still have the watch later feature. Right, that's going on my watch later list. I'll find that out later.
I'm hoping you can update us maybe next week or something.
I will keep you posted next week as to the ending of Petrichor.
I can't wait to find out.
Massive spoilers incoming.
Just so you know.
So that was that. Just before we recorded today, I did also find... This was actually looking through the Steam lists as we do sort of pruning the early access crap and demos and everything else from the Steam list to bring you only the finest, juiciest cuts of Steam releases later on in the show. There's a game that's out in a little over a week's time. It is an early access thing, but I did look on their website just because it grabbed my attention and downloaded the demo for it called Radial G, which looks a lot like F-Zero. I really want an F-Zero game.
Well, maybe you've got one.
I might do. I mean, it's described as a racing game. It looks like an F-Zero game. The demo that they let you have on their website isn't actually what I would describe as racing. Unless one is just talking about a time attack. It's just how fast can you go around this track. One car, one track, here, race against yourself. There's no racing other people. I would imagine if it's a racing game, they probably plan to add multiplayer, but the demo does not support even AI opponents or anything.
Yeah, that's troubling.
And the one craft that when they show you it on the menu, it looks exactly like the Snowspeeder from Star Wars.
Brilliant.
It was like, is that intentional or is that completely accidental? I'm not rightly sure. I think it was probably... Oh, it must have been accidental. They can't possibly just said, hey, let's just rip off Star Wars for our game.
A lot of people have.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. They made Star Wars Pod Racer. They never made Star Wars Snowspeeder Racer.
Maybe it's a very specialist market for that.
Well, I'd buy it.
I probably would too.
So this one, yeah, like I say, it's kind of a futuristic sort of future anti-grav cars flying along. The name's kind of a clue in the name, Radial G. It's the entire track in this, and potentially all the tracks is just on a long cylinder, basically, that weaves and winds and twists through all sorts of futuristic and fancy-looking cities. And I know F-Zero variously did use a few cylinders, certainly the GameCube version anyway, that's the one I'm most familiar with. There were a number of tracks in that were on the surfaces of cylinders and some were on the inside of cylinders. So they were really cool tracks as well. But if they just did generally, here's F-Zero, it's not officially licensed, but it's pretty much F-Zero and it's on PC, here you go. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Do Nintendo even want to do anything with F-Zero these days? Because I'm not aware that they do.
I don't remember the last release they've done.
It was the GameCube one. The last F-Zero game from Nintendo was the GameCube one. They've skipped an entire console generation where they've not released an F-Zero game. F-Zero, the only time F-Zero even gets mentioned these days is Captain Falcon is an extra token character who comes in for the LOL Maymays and Captain Falcon Punch and whatnot in Super Smash Bros. So he can go, Falcon Punch, and everyone can go, LOL Falcon Punch.
That's what they've been reduced to.
That is all F-Zero has in Nintendo these days. And it's like, well, if you're not going to use him, give the IP to someone who wants to make an F-Zero game, because god damn it, we need more of that sort of thing. The GameCube one was crap multiplayer as well. It was an excellent single-player game, but that's, if you could actually get... I can't remember how many people raced together in one track on F-Zero. I don't know if it was like 16, 32 cars? If you could actually get that on a racetrack and all of them flying around at ridiculous supersonic speed smashing into each other online on PC or whatever, that'd be fucking amazing.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I would get very into that, I'm quite sure. Yeah, that would be awesome. But no, says Nintendo, you must play with Mii's in a theme park. And you may not talk to other people except through predetermined emotes. You may not drive into them. You may just say, good game. I enjoyed playing with you. Hi. These are all you're allowed to say under Nintendo's strict regime.
The Nintendo dictatorship.
The Nintendo dictatorship. All hail the great Führer Satoru Iwata.
I think we're back into scandalous territory.
Is he still in charge of Nintendo? Is it Satoru Iwata who's still head of Nintendo? I haven't followed Nintendo in any great depth for a very long time. If he could quite easily have stepped down as head of Nintendo and I would not have noticed.
I think that's another one for the Google.
Yes. If I just type in Nintendo, is that going to work? Google's pretty good about giving company details and stuff.
Yeah.
CEO Satoru Iwata, yes. Iwata-san is still in charge. Still ruling with an iron fist and saying gay relationships are not acceptable.
The views of the Button Mash host are solely his.
Hey, did you not see Tomodachi Life?
Yes, I did. I'm trying to avoid a lawsuit.
It's okay, we're not officially registered as a company. He can't sue us. Maybe.
Then in that case...
Well, have you heard? No. I was going to go into very much libel territory, but probably best not.
Might be an idea.
Anyway, yeah, those are probably the most things I've played. I suppose, Will, have you been playing any Spiral Knights this week?
I haven't actually. I have meant to.
What? What?
Because I want the new guns, but I'm not prepared to work up the amount of heat required to get them to 5-star.
That is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
This is the Gunner update. It's the long-awaited Gunner update for Spiral Knights. For those who are not Spiral Knights fans, I imagine a lot of the people who watch this have probably come here from my channel and therefore are, in all likelihood, a Spiral Knights fan. But yes, if you're not, this is the new Gunner update we're talking about, which they announced in September. Was it September or was it October last year?
I think September.
And they said, oh, it'll be done by the end of November 2013. And then by the end of November, they were like, give us till January. And then, like, on January 31st, they were like, we're not going to tell you when we're putting it out now. We'll just carry on working on it. It'll be done when it's done.
Give us another year. We're busy reskinning our armors.
Ooh, yeah. So, yes, they've spent a year running reskin promos, and now we have... I think if you asked them, they'd be like, oh yes, there's 24 new guns in the game.
Technically.
Technically, yes. When one considers that each gun has to be upgraded twice to get to the best level, and yeah, they're classifying each level of the gun as being a different gun, so each gun is technically 3 guns. So there's 8 different weapons that you're actually going to use, and they each have 2 less useful versions. Yeah, there's 24, but in reality there's only 8. But it's the most content they've added to the game in a long time, and everybody is super hype.
I really want to see it, but I don't think I'm prepared to put that much time back into the game. They may have lost me.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like now that we're talking about it, I do really, really want to see them. I'm torn. It is a lot of content that they put out, and especially considering that they haven't put out for a long time.
Well, it's not ridiculous to get stuff to level 5. I mean, the hard part is once you've got your weapon to 5-star, is then leveling that, is heating up that. You say it's the heat, but heat's not too bad until you get to a 5-star version of a weapon.
I said heat, but what I really meant was embers.
Alright, the fire crystals, you mean?
Yeah, the fire crystals.
I mean, I realise those. That's a part of the heating process, sure.
Yeah.
It's... Again, once you get to the 5-star thing, radiant fire crystals to heat that up and level that up are so scarce as to be... It's unreasonable to actually get things much beyond level 5 or whatever of your 5-star item. I know some people do grind ridiculous amounts to do it, but it's not practical, really.
No, since that update came, I haven't actually made any 5-star items. I already had, really good gear, but
yeah, likewise.
There was no incentive for me to carry on making unnecessary items at that point.
I have made a bunch of stuff, and most of it I just haven't used. I think some armor pieces that I needed to fill in gaps in my armor lineup, I would like, I'll get it to level 5 so I get the extra bar of health out of it. But that's about it. With weapons, quite often, I've made a few and I've just been like, well, this is just straight up inferior to all the stuff I had before because that's already heated up. These are already more powerful. They added the kind of reskin of the Acheron, the Obsidian Edge. Is it Obsidian? What do they call it? Is it the Obsidian Edge?
I don't know, actually.
Whatever the Obsidian Sword was that deals poison damage. It was very, very similar to Acheron, and I took it out, and it was like, this feels really, really feeble. I know it already deals less damage, but then it's got less heat on it, so it deals less damage again, and comparatively between the two weapons, although they're functionally very, very similar, the weapon I already had was vastly superior to the new one. There's just no incentive for me to use the new one. So I know where you're coming from with that.
It does look pretty, though. I'm looking at pictures of it now.
They upped the poly count on the Antigua line, and I gotta say they actually look nice. There are no hexagonal cylinders on that thing anymore, which is good. Some of that stuff looked a bit Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So in the video I did showing it off, the comparison I made was between the Polaris and one of the new Antiguas, which I had the recipe for, so I could have a look at the two of them. Or it might have even just been the Antigua. I was like, yeah, one of these guns is sort of the barrel of the gun. It's supposed to be a cylinder, but from a distance, like, no one will notice it's a hexagon. And yeah, and then the Antigua is like, oh, there's enough polygons on that it actually looks like it's a cylinder. It actually looks like the barrel of a gun. It looks really nice now.
So do you still have to go into the Clockworks to get the recipes for these new guns?
Yeah, all the new content that they've added in this update, all the recipes for that are sold in the Clockworks. My first reaction was to go into the Hall of Heroes and I'm like, I'm gonna go buy all the things. Nope, not an option. Won't do that.
Well, I guess that's good, I suppose.
Well, I can't say I ever particularly like them adding the Hall of Heroes anyway. I mean,
no.
Part of the quest to find specific recipes to actually make the equipment you want, it was part of the fun of the game, and then they were just like, nah, you don't need to do that. Here's a vendor that sells all the things you could ever possibly want. I was like, oh.
I remember that kept me in good stead. Like buying recipes down in the Clockworks and then selling them for ridiculous prices in the auction house. A
lot of people made some money that way. You can still you can do that now, definitely, and you could still do that with boss recipes, stuff like Grand Faust or Divine Avenger, being some of the most popular swords in the game. You could quite usually, and not being sold from a vendor, if you came across one of those recipes, you could sell that for a decent markup as well. People would usually buy that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember I just did the Romulus twins over and over and over again and sold Polaris recipe. Kept me really good.
Did the Romulus? Could you get the recipe for that from Romulus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no! You got the tokens and then you sold the gun and that's it.
Oh right,
no,
well yeah,
that's
that's
from the boss site.
That's
Pulsar, that's the one.
Yeah. Pulsar, yes, Pulsar is the one.
It's sold the gun, not the recipe.
Oh yeah, well the new recipes, obviously, because they're only found. There's plenty of ways to make money now. Obviously, everybody's going down to buy all the recipes and sell those on the auction house. Everyone's like, oh, new stuff. I've made a bit of money myself, and then it does seem like there's some of the new armors, because there is so much new armor being added to the game, and a lot of them they're just kind of covering all bases by like there's an armor for everything now for a gunner, and some of them are just crap. And my first venture into the Clockworks, I was like, hey, new stuff, let's buy that and sell it for a markup. That didn't work for everything.
No.
So I spent 25,000 on a recipe for a new piece of armor that has not managed to sell yet. Nobody's wanted to buy that.
I think if I was buying armor, I'd probably buy it for an aesthetic at this point, because I like my equipment. My equipment's good.
But if you're wanting to do gunning, you could have some very, very specific gunner equipment, because all the new stuff has got like attack speed and damage bonus and charge time reduction for gunners on them. Yeah. Which is pretty nice.
Okay.
It's some of them have specific damage bonuses against specific types of enemies though, and I think what was the one I picked up? I think the one I've got is poison resistance, piercing resistance, and damage bonus against beasts, which is... I guess it kind of works, but I don't know, nobody seems to want to buy it. I don't think it looks particularly great either, so...
No.
So I may be 25 grand out of pocket there, which means I don't have a lot left. Because I've also spent a lot of money on buying recipes I wanted, so I've now got several recipes in my pockets that I can't actually craft into the guns yet, and I'm trying to get rid of shit that I can't sell, which put me in an awkward position. So I'm like, I have no money, I need to sell shit to have some money to be able to buy more recipes to make some more money, but I can't because these recipes won't sell, which is really annoying. It's getting to a point where I'm almost contemplating buying energy just to sell it for money.
Make sure you do it during a good promo though.
They don't do those promos anymore, though.
No?
You know they have.
I haven't even played in a long time.
You've played the game since, like, February, though, haven't you?
Yes. Only a tiny bit.
Well, okay, well, the promos they've been running for the last... I get probably better part of 9 months, I guess. They no longer run the promos where you get prize boxes when you buy energy.
Oh, alright.
Energy is just energy. You can buy that anytime, anywhere. They've never bundled anything in with energy purchases outside of the specific stuff like the starter pack for a long time now.
Yeah.
And all of the promos they run are specifically pay $5, get a prize box.
Yeah.
That's it. So then in that prize box you've got like a 90% chance of getting something that's worth a considerably less than $5. And like 10% chance of getting 9% chance of getting something pretty nice, and a 1% chance of getting something ridiculous. And yeah, they just want you to keep buying those. And at $5 a pop, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I did that several times ages ago, and I got some good stuff out of it. I certainly made a profit on stuff.
Well, if you made a profit, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it very much does come down to gambling a lot, which is not great.
No, I have to say I never kept any of the new stuff, apart from an aura. I think I got a sunlight aura, and I put that on my armor because I am all gold now.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. I am going to play this now. I'm trying to get back into it, so if you see a golden knight, that's me.
Fair enough. Okay, then.
Last time I checked, it was probably the only all gold knight.
Fair enough, okay, that's cool. That's interesting. I can't put an aura on my armor, because my armor's the one that comes with a bit of a kind of a white shine on it.
Oh,
already.
the Skulver.
Skulver kind of comes with an aura of its own, so you're not allowed to put an aura on that armor, so I can't wear one.
Yeah, I can't put wings on my bomber suit, though.
Ah, see, I have wings on my Skulver.
Yeah.
I went out of my way to specifically buy a really rare pair of wings. They don't look especially great, I just know that they're super rare, so it's like, yay, I've got the rare ones.
You know what, I have the extra tall mod, and it actually doesn't look that much different.
No, I think generally speaking, wandering around, I mean, if you compare two that are specifically next to each other, it's like, okay, yeah. I can see that, but most of the time you won't notice, I don't think.
No. But it's nice to have, because that's quite a rare thing, but again, nobody ever noticed. You notice the extra small mods, but not the extra tall ones.
Right. Yeah, the wings I picked up from, I got into a bidding war on the auction house. Is one of their promoted auctions, which like the developers were just like, here's an item, everybody fight over it now on the auction house. And I did fight over it, and I won, and it cost me far more than I'd initially intended to pay.
Yeah.
As auction houses tend to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to set myself a limit of 300,000 on this. I'm sure I ended up spending like 450,000 maybe on it by the time all was said and done.
Wow. Where do you get all those crowns from?
That was back when that was back when I had money. I don't anymore. I spent them on wings. I've had no money since the wings.
Yeah, I managed I managed to get a 1% drop one time from a prize box, and I think that made me 1 million crowns. I can't even remember what I spent that on. It is all gone now. I have barely anything.
I made like 13,000 energy out of the sale of a blue chapeau from the chapeau promo back when the promos were good.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously where I got my hat from. Because that was, it was a 1 in 6 chance of getting one of the 6 really cool things. And they've never run that promo again. Those hats are super hard to come by. And they're just like, oh, I was just like, okay, I've got this blue hat that I've been hanging on to forever, and they're clearly not planning to sell it ever again. I ended up managing to sell it for 13,000 energy, and I don't know where most of that went. I have no idea.
Oh, I've got the yellow one and the green one. I think that's the one you have.
The green one's the one I have, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I've got that one as well.
You haven't sold it? Is it unbound?
No, it's bound to me.
Oh, man, if you hung on to it, holy crap, that would be worth a bit now.
I was thinking about making a green version of my character, because there's the green bomber suit as well. I can't remember what it's called.
I have no idea. I don't know bomber game.
I think it's the 4-star bomber suit.
Fair enough. Won't it just be... Will it not just be green based on personal colour and things anyway?
No. There's part of the personal colour, and then the other part's green.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, fair enough.
I was thinking about changing my personal colour to green, but I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm going through the game now, looking at what else I can do.
Have you actually had much of a look at the new weapons, or are you just intrigued by the concept of new weapons?
I had a very quick look.
I mean, a lot of them are just sort of variants on stuff that kind of already was in the game. Obviously, you got new different variants on the Polaris lines, you got different variants on the blasters, you got a new auto gun.
I don't think we could expect anything more than that, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think my favourite and most interesting change of the game is they've completely inverted the way that the catalyzer guns work.
Oh, right.
If you
In
remember,
what way?
Previously...
I have one.
Yeah, well, go try it out. It's so fun. It really is. Well, previously, obviously, you charged up a shot, put it on the enemy, it stuck to the enemy. You charged up another shot, put it on the enemy, it stuck to the enemy, so on, lather, rinse, repeat. And then you fired an ordinary shot and it blew everything up, and it took forever. It was painful, it was tedious. Nobody wanted to do that.
I used mine for poisoning the Jelly King.
Oh, okay.
I had the poison
That's
one.
Like one use, I guess. Now it works the opposite way. Your ordinary shot sticks to the enemy, and you have to fire a charge shot to explode everything.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So you can just go pew 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 and stick everything, and they just go boom and blow the whole lot up.
That's much
That's
better.
fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's such a good gun now. I love it. It's still not. It's still honestly is not an effective, not really effective weapon to kill anything with. It still takes quite a while to actually kill enemies with it, but it's so much more fun.
Oh my god, I'm looking through my list and it's not there. I must have sold it.
What? Oh my God.
I can't be bothered making that again.
Oh dear. I only had the 4-star version as well. I was the video. Well, actually, that's probably why it took me so long to kill things. Actually, all things considered, I was running through tier 3 with a 4-star gun. I had the virulent catalyzer because I never managed to make it up to the 5-star version, the biohazard.
Yeah. That's one I had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I went down using Polaris. Polaris they changed so that it fires a little bit faster but does a little bit less damage now. So it kind of works out in the wash, I guess. So I was like, I want to test out the Polaris and I want to test out the catalyzer and see how they work. Polaris is still just whatever. It's a little bit less damage. It still knocks things around. It's still fairly impressive and annoying. It's whatever. And then the catalyzer is like, oh, this is so much fun. It's still taking me a long time to kill things, but it was so much more fun. And yet it quite comfortably held its own against the Polaris. The 4-star version, it was like, this is killing things reasonably effectively.
Oh, good.
So I imagine, had I actually bothered to get it up to 5-star version, it actually probably would have been a pretty nice weapon.
I guess I'll never know now.
I imagine, was yours heated up as well?
Yeah.
No, that would have been really good. Because obviously if you make it again, it's not going to be as good because you're going to have to heat it up again.
Yeah.
Which sucks. 3 rings, fix your game. So yeah, that's Spiral Knights. That's my week been. I've not sunk anywhere near as much time as I've wanted to sink into it as well. I mean, I've also there's loads of daily stuff to do in WildStar that I need to stay on top of as well, and I just haven't done that either. So I'm like, I need to do my weekly quota of WildStar stuff because I have not reached my weekly quota. I'm only like 30% of the way there. So as soon as we're done with this podcast, by the way, I'm straight into WildStar. So I need to max my XP meter. Goddammit. So that's the thing. So I just haven't sunk the time I wanted to into Spiral Knights, but I sunk a bit of time in, which is cool. At least people are back into the game, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Michael has been sitting in stunned silence for 20 minutes now, wondering what the hell we're talking about.
Yes, I have.
Michael has just woken up.
Yeah, are you guys done?
Yeah, what have you been playing?
I think we'll save it for next week.
Okay.
I think otherwise this is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
I have no objections. Anyway. Alright, do you want to... Should we wrap that up there and then come back with some more stuff after the break?
Yeah, that'd be an idea.
Alright, cool, yeah. So we're going to step away for a few minutes, and then when we're back, we'll be back with the latest gaming news for the past week and upcoming releases for the coming week.
We'll be back after a message from our sponsors. Button Mash Podcast. Fuck.
I'm not quite sure your mic's entirely set up right there. All I got was Button Mash Podcast back there.
Sorry, was
you lost the entire word is.
Sorry, was I not close enough to the mic there?
Maybe. I don't know.
Button Mash Podcast is back.
That's much better. That's good.
You've got the ears back, yeah?
Yes, you need to project your voice, lovey. Talk to the audience at the back, dear.
Darling, I'm in the business.
You need to talk to the man on the spotlight at the back.
Hello.
Yes. Anyway, welcome back to the Button Mash Podcast. We have some gaming news for you.
And now gaming news and gossip.
Always with the gossip.
Always with the gossip.
Do we have gossip? I always like making this judgment each week. It's like just browsing through this and it's like, is this gossip? Kind of, maybe, but not entirely? Nah, I don't think it is. The big news this week, I think you guys may well have heard of it because it was pretty big. Obviously, Target in Australia, as well as a number of other stores in the Australia and New Zealand area, have decided to stop selling GTA 5 because there was a big online petition on change.org that they were like, ban this sick filth, and they banned that sick filth, which is not terribly cool. You guys pick up on that one?
Yes,
yeah, I'd heard something about it, yeah.
So yeah, a lot of busybodies in the Australia region. It does seem like there are a lot of those. I keep hearing all these weird petitions that pop up in Australia where like people should not be allowed to do this, and it's like, why do you even care? There's one of I recently saw in Australia there was a petition going around to try and ban the sale of halal meat in Australia. I think it was like,
really,
yeah, it's like, how does this affect you?
Yeah.
You don't like halal meat? Don't eat it. Me, it's pretty tasty, you know? It's still meat. It's still just animal. The fact that someone said some prayers and whatnot around it when it was being killed, it doesn't make it less tasty. There's really nothing to be made here of that. It's just fine, just don't eat halal meat. Let the people who want to eat it. Okay, weird. Australia's good for weird petitions, it seems. And this is the latest. It says 41,000 signatures from because apparently GTA encourages violence against sex industry workers.
Well,
I think it just encourages violence generally towards everybody, surely.
Well,
it's quite equal opportunities in its violence.
One would argue whether it explicitly encourages or merely permits, and it's definitely very equal opportunities. The fact that, if you actually go to the petition page and have a look at the ban this sick filth nonsense that they've got going on there, the header picture is a woman lying in a pool of blood with someone holding an axe.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you still had to go out of your way to choose to do that. It's not like the game was like, hey, this would be a great idea, why don't you go do that? It's like,
no. It's not a mission in and of its own.
The sex worker was a character in the game. You're allowed to kill pretty much any character in the game. Guess what? You can kill the sex worker. It wasn't encouraging you to do that, it's simply one of the many thousands of options permitted you in this open world sandbox game about predominantly killing people. So it's a nonsense of the highest order. I think part of the argument was, oh, you get health from having sex with prostitutes, and it's like, technically that's true, yes, okay, and then you're encouraged to kill them to get your money back afterwards. It's like, no, well, after the... Does that even work? I seem to recall that was a thing in GTA San Andreas, was kind of a thing. It was like, oh,
yeah.
you can sleep with a prostitute and then kill them and get your money back. And everyone's like, this is ridiculous and terrible and awful, but hilarious at the same time. And people would go and do that. I don't even think that's a mechanic anymore. I don't think they do that. I think they carry the same amount of money as anyone else. It's just that people carry money on them because that's the thing people do. You're allowed to kill people in the game because that's the freedom that this game permits. If you kill the person, you can take the money that they're carrying around. Some of those people whom you are allowed to kill within this game, in which you're allowed to kill pretty much anybody, happen to be sex workers. They are carrying money around like everybody else in the game. There's no incentive or encouragement to do that. It's just that some people are dicks. Which I think is the general theme of most of our rants.
Yeah,
we seem to have a theme.
I've seen some people note that from Target's perspective, it's perhaps more of a PR move than anything else. When one considers that GTA 5 It's one of the biggest titles of the year, and then for them it's like, oh yes, yes, we're willing to make a stand against this. We're willing to put our morals before our bottom line. The game has been out for 2 weeks. Do you know when the vast majority of any video game sales are? Within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Almost anybody who specifically wants to buy GTA 5, the overwhelming majority, a good 80 to 90% of all GTA 5 sales for that console have probably already happened within the last 2 weeks before they chose to stop selling it. They ain't losing a lot of money. And let's be honest, it's still not really the government banning it, it's just a retailer. They'll just go around the corner to whatever Australia's equivalent of GameSpot or Game is.
And so you could still buy this online, I presume.
Yes, yep. You can still buy it online. You can still go into GameStop or Game or what Australia? I think have Game, don't they?
I think so. Yeah.
I think they share a lot of retailers with like the UK, being as they are one of our colonies and whatnot.
Yeah, I think you're right.
One of the few things we kept hold of after the good old days.
The views of the Butter Mash host.
Back when we still ruled the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come up with an entirely new disclaimer. The Butter Mash host is a massive racist.
The Button Mash host is a Victorian-era colonialist.
He should be sectioned immediately.
Do you have a flag? No flag, no country.
Move on.
So anyway, yeah. So honestly, this is probably more of a PR move,
yeah, definitely.
For Thai. They're just like, hey, look at us, we're doing a good thing, and then everyone else goes, we won. And it's like, no, because we're going to buy the game elsewhere. It's this weird crusade against social justice that's doing the rounds these days. See Gamergate et al. It's kind of, you're not really doing anything. You're just being annoying and misinformed, because just read through the petition. This is clearly done by people who have got no idea what GTA is, what the options are to do in it, or any details. They just know that they've just heard that you can commit a crime against prostitutes in this game, and therefore it is the work of the devil, and therefore we must burn the books like the Nazis.
Did you just compare Australia to Nazis?
No, I compared the social justice movement within Australia to Nazis.
Okay, as long as you clarified that, thank you.
And to be fair, I'm not totally original in doing that, because that's actually what Penny Arcade did earlier in the week.
The views of Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
Because obviously, not everything that the Nazis did was bad, apparently.
Wait, what? I'm not even sure how you did that mental gymnastics there. What?
That was the end of the comic.
Oh, right. Okay. And I know Yahtzee talked about this on his podcasty type thing that he does each week, and he mentioned that I think it's this internet idea of Godwin's law that if you make the comparison to the Nazis, your point is automatically invalid. And it does seem like, in some certain circumstances, that's not necessarily true. You can't just say, Godwin's law, reductio ad Hitlerum, and whatnot, and just say...
Is that the exact terminology?
That is the Latin terminology for comparing someone to a Nazi in your argument. Reductio ad Hitlerum. Godwin's law. It's if you bring the Nazis into your argument, you automatically lose the argument, is Godwin's law. So... there's kind of this idea that if you compare someone to a Nazi, your point is automatically invalid, and it's like, well, no, the Nazis did burn books, and we now literally have people advocating burning books because they don't like the content that's within it. Or not books, but games. Pick a media, it's still the same bloody difference. You don't like the content that's within there because it goes against your particular ideology. Therefore, we must censor it as thoroughly as possible. It does seem like that idea has been done before, guys. Not by particularly popular people, we should note. It's not necessarily an invalid argument to make if one were to compare it to, say, the Nationalist Socialist Party.
I think it might be an idea to move on.
Oh, that was a fun one.
We spent so much time on Nazis.
Well, I feel like that's a fairly important one to talk about because it's kind of, I don't know, it feels important. But,
well, if anything, you're just driving sales elsewhere, really, to where you can actually buy it.
The minimal amount of people who haven't already bought GTA 5 on the new consoles that want to will just go elsewhere and get it anyway. So it will hurt target sales, probably not that much, and doesn't really achieve much. It kind of sets an unfortunate precedent that some of these stores are perhaps willing to, actually make these decisions and say, okay, well, we're going to decide what entertainment adults can and can't enjoy in their own home. Well, I mean, I've seen some people saying, oh, well, they don't just straight up sell porn in these shops. It's not a porn shop. And I was like, that's not really a valid comparison because there is a rating system in place for a reason. This is rated. You've got. I think the way the Australia system is, R is your GTA level, and then you got AO, which is adults only, which is, well, porn. I was like, well, something like Call of Duty would be rated R. Something like just any sort of generally violent and nasty kind of thing, the usual sort of AAA shit we get these days. It's probably rated R. There's a lot of that kind of thing going around. And they're quite happy to sell that. They sell GTA, which is rated R, I presume rated R. And they sell GTA, which is rated R. They presume they'd sell Call of Duty, which is rated R. That's where I was going with that. They'll sell a lot of other stuff that is rated R. And then for them to say, but we believe that this one goes far beyond all the others and therefore we shouldn't be selling it. It's like, well, who are you to say whether we should or not? Surely the whole point of having the ratings board is for them to say that this is appropriate for this audience. You're going over the ratings board head and say, well, actually, we don't trust them to make a decision anymore. We're going to make our own decisions on what adults can enjoy in their own homes. Which is kind of wrong.
Yeah, true. They've given a hell of a segue into the next news article there, unintentionally.
I had not intended to do that, but yeah, go on. Next article. Anyone want to read that delightful headline?
I think your subtle tones will... If you could say it in a sexy voice, just to...
I don't think I have one of those.
Well, we're about to find out.
No.
I think John's too British for that.
I'm too British. British don't do sexy. Michael, you're a sexy man. Why don't you tell us about the next article?
Prepare your trousers.
I'm not even wearing them.
And you have the audacity to claim that you're not sexy. Okay, there's that well-known website that some of us may or may not have frequented once or twice. YouPorn are now sponsors of an EA Sports team.
Esports, not EA Sports.
Sorry, I meant esports. Sorry. I apologise for the misspeaking there.
I don't know if there is much to say about this. I just thought it was hilarious and I really wanted to touch on it. Yes, YouPorn is now sponsoring an esports team. They are...
And they do look like a bit of a seedy bunch, if we're being honest.
They're professional gamers, of course they do.
The guy in the hat, the guy in the hat specifically.
Yeah, I can see that. So I don't know. This has been talked about for last month or so. There have been rumours doing around that YouPorn were looking to try and acquire a team, but one can imagine the hurdles that might be incurred in trying to do such a thing. Like, here, let us put our logo on your shirts. How about we pass?
We're so psyched to finally make our official entry into gaming and esports, says Brad Burns, the Vice President of YouPorn.
Yes.
What a job.
Well, if anything, it's tastefully done.
Yeah, that was part of the thing. It's like they spent a long time designing their logo so that it, I think, conveys that it's still YouPorn, but at the same time, they don't just have the word porn written on their chest. They've for their logo for this, they've abbreviated it to Team YP.
I hope nobody asks what that means.
It's still got a very pink motif going on.
I'm sure they can work it out.
So yeah, we've now got 4 blokes at the top, professional gamers, some of the finest electronic athletes in the world. Now proudly have the logo of YouPorn emblazoned on their chests.
And they're all Spanish.
With the oh god, I hadn't even spotted that before. With the terrible caption on the photo underneath that says, "Above, no word on whether Team YP plays with one hand or not."
Oh dear.
That's some quality journalism going on there.
So this is a Spanish esports team, Play to Win, now Team YP, and they are making their debut, I guess probably this Friday just gone actually, at the Gamer-G Dota 2 tournament in Madrid. So, one of the biggest esports games in the world at the moment, drawing in a lot of attention, a lot of money, and YouPorn, for whatever reason, wants in on that.
Will there be a parody video?
If you're willing to make one. What exactly have you got in mind here?
I'm just thinking YouPorn might celebrate their interaction into gaming by releasing a series of films, maybe.
What, are you thinking some terrible 70s style thing, but instead of the plumber coming round, someone needs to come around and fix someone's computer, maybe?
Maybe Mario comes in.
Some professional esports playing lady, and she needs someone to service her PC because it's broken down.
And then
All right,
Sonic...
love, I'm here to service your PC.
And in comes Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, that went down an entirely different route than I had envisioned. And I really, really don't think we need Sonic the Hedgehog porn, because I'm pretty sure that probably already exists, because this is the internet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a porn version of everything by now.
There is
There's
almost any... The Sonic fandom's ridiculous, because there's a Sonic version of almost anything. We're not the first people to touch on this, not by a long margin, but it keeps coming up from time to time again. I was reminded of this very recently. It's like, there is a fun game to play with Sonic. I don't know if you guys have ever done it.
I'm slightly worried where this is going, but go on.
Google your name plus the hedgehog in Google image search.
Okay.
I'm doing it now.
Because there is... Oh, just do it. You can play along at home, folks, if you want to do that.
The Button Mash podcast, we're interactive.
The Play Along podcast.
Hey, we were asking to play bingo earlier.
Yeah,
There's
excellent.
a lot of fan art here.
Yeah, yep.
Michael, the... Oh, good God, it auto-searched for me.
There you go. This is what I mean.
My hedgehog appears to be Michael Jackson.
Wow, really? Oh, right, Michael. Yeah, okay. I can see how that would come about. I need to see this now. I'm going to look for this.
I can't tell if mine's a boy or a girl. Very androgynous.
Fair enough. Oh dear, what have we got? Michael the Hedgehog. I need to see this. Which one? Okay, I see the one I think you mean, yes. Oh god, I see the one you mean. Oh god.
The one where I'm looking very sexy.
Oh my word.
That's what the model in YouPorn will look like.
Oh dear. I mean, I did mine recently, as I say, because someone reminded me of it. I was like, I'm going to have a look for this. And like, mine's just like a grey version of Sonic. It's like, really? Just a Sonic, but without any colour. It's so boring.
Have you seen the picture of Michael Jackson next to Sonic?
Michael Jackson next to Sonic?
Yeah, go down a bit.
I can't see that. Where's that?
Just go down a bit.
Oh my god, I see it. Wow. Okay.
That's not awkward at all.
That's a little bit weird.
Look, Google Michael the Hedgehog and just look for that photo.
I'm going to say, as regards the earlier topic, there is some Michael the Hedgehog image which looks like it's towing the line of Rule 34, as it were.
Yeah, I'm choosing to gloss over that.
There is some presumably undressed green lady drawn in the Sonic the Hedgehog style, mounting some green, I can only envision hedgehog type character, who looks absolutely terrified by the prospect, I might add.
Hedgehog's called Michael. We panic.
I've also found a screenshot for what I can only assume is a mod that I really, really hope exists, which is Michael Jackson in Sonic 3.
I've just seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which I hope is a mashup between Michael Jackson's Moonwalker and Sonic 3.
I think that would be a hell of a game.
Let's make it happen. That's got to happen.
Coming in
So
2018.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a fun one for you to play at home. Type in your name plus the hedgehog and then cringe.
Speaking of playing games,
Speaking of playing games,
we're trying to segue into the next news article. I'm not sure it really worked.
speaking of playing games, welcome to a podcast exclusively about video games.
You've made it work.
Also got this past weekend we have had the Gaming Awards, the 2014 Game Awards, because that's what it's called this year.
Really creative name.
Yeah, well, it is a different one. This was what's his name? I can't remember what the name of the guy is that runs it this year. It was some reasonably famous journalist I had never heard of. Put his own money up. Jeff Keighley, that's it. Jeff Keighley put his own money up towards running a game show this year. Apparently in disgust at the state of the previous video gaming awards in past years. I mean, I think last year Spike TV did one and everyone was like, oh my god, this is the worst video games award show that's ever existed. It was absolutely dire. So Jeff Keighley was like, okay, I'm going to do my own one this year, and he's put up a load of money and run this live from Las Vegas, The Game Awards 2014, which I can't help but feel is a slightly arrogant title. It's just The Game Awards. It's like, so what, you're the only one? You're the with a capital T? It's like, I'm sure other people are doing their gaming awards. I personally will be doing my own gaming awards on my channel this Wednesday, but you know.
Where can people go to see that?
At youtube.com/buttonmashempire.
My god, we got two in.
So, yeah.
So shall we go through a couple of these winners and see if we agree with them?
Yeah, that seems like a good way to go. Right to the top of the list that we've got here is Game of the Year. It seems like a place where you would end, not start, but I don't know. Do you want to start at the top of the list and work down?
Well, let's just discuss a couple of them. So Game of the Year they've given to Dragon Age Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Would we agree with that?
I don't think any of us have played it, have we?
I don't think any of us have played it, and both me and Will have discussed in the past weeks that we're both pretty well set on what our Game of the Year is going to be, and it's not that.
Yeah.
Off to a good start.
So I think Will would...
Hang on, no, don't give away what you think your Game of the Year is going to be, otherwise people aren't going to go to your YouTube.
I talked about it last week.
Wow, I've got a really bad memory.
I think it was last week. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago.
It was, yeah.
People may have forgotten. Hold on to your gold.
I don't think the vast majority of people who watch this will... Yeah, I'll be right. Nobody watches this thing.
Take that back, sir.
Well, it'd be interesting to hear your perspectives as well, wouldn't it? And firstly, Game of the Year, as I pretty much... I've had this decided for like 6 months now, let's be honest. And there's a lot more to it than that. I'm not necessarily going to pick the same categories as these guys, other than Game of the Year, and I've already decided that, and I've already announced that several times, so fuck it. Is my stance on that one. So, Will, what is your Game of the Year? As if we didn't know.
Yes, it's going to be Alien. Obviously.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Never saw that coming.
No,
Earlier on in the year, I would have given it to Dark Souls 2, but then Alien came along, and I just... You can't compare the two games, but I had a much more enjoyable experience out of Alien.
I believe Dark Souls was in the running for Game of the Year, actually, was it not?
It was, yeah.
We check out the nominees. I've got an actual list in front of me. Game of the Year, the official nominees were Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Hearthstone, and Shadow of Mordor.
So no Alien at all?
No.
That's surprising.
I was like, the only one of those that stands out as being, really? Why is that on there? To me, is Hearthstone, and it's the only one I've played. But honestly, I don't know, by default, I'd have to give it to Hearthstone, I suppose, out of those 5, but I enjoyed Hearthstone. Hearthstone's cool. I can dig that.
Yeah, I played a bit of Hearthstone, it's alright.
I don't necessarily know it's Game of the Year material, but
It's a fun for yours.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, no doubt. Obviously, my Game of the Year, as I already announced several times, is going to be Always Sometimes Monsters, which is just one of the best narrative experiences I've ever played in my life, quite frankly. So, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind there.
Well, best performance they've given to Trey Parker for South Park and the Stick of Truth.
That's a bit weird as well. That Trey Parker has various voices in South Park. He did an outstanding performance in various voices.
Yeah.
But obviously this is Trey Parker of South Park, so it's like
Yeah.
probably most of the voices. It's not various, it's just most of them.
Developer of the Year, Nintendo.
That's an interesting one.
There's a lot of Mario Kart 8 and Super
There is a lot of
Super
Mario
Smash Bros.
Nintendo
That seems
stuff
to
on
have
it, yeah.
won stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've got best sports game is Mario Kart 8, which is tenuously sports at best, I would have said.
Destiny seems to be dominating a lot of the online and best score soundtrack.
Best soundtrack, you got Marty O'Donnell, who obviously did all the soundtrack for the Halo games for his work on Destiny. I can't say I'm terribly familiar with Destiny, so I'm not familiar with the soundtrack by extensions, but Martin O'Donnell has got a excellent pedigree and a good track record doing all the Halo games, so I can very much believe that. Best online experience? Really, Destiny? Is that genuinely? That one
was
does
the
come
winner.
as a bit of a surprise to me, but I'm trying to think what else other people would have done that could have topped it. So I'm not. What not that I don't think I've looked at this. What was it competing against for online? In that.
Not sure.
I'm trying to find. I can't find the bloody category on here now. Best online experience, right at the bottom. Best online experiences were Call of Duty, Dark Souls 2, Destiny, Hearthstone, and Titanfall. So I imagine I know where Will would lie on that one.
Yeah, Dark Souls all the way.
I would probably. I don't know. A little bit of me wants to say Titanfall.
Really? You were moaning about that earlier in the year, though, for it not having a great story.
Yeah, but we're not talking about story. We're talking about online experience.
Okay.
We're not critiquing its story. We're talking about its online experience, and I very much enjoyed Titanfall. I'll be honest.
All right, fair enough.
John, how do you feel about best independent game, Shovel Knight?
I never played Shovel Knight. I did watch Jesse Cox play through it. It's not necessarily going to be my choice, but I think it's a very worthy choice. I'm quite okay with Shovel Knight, to be honest. I think Will would probably be okay. Although you play a lot.
I'd
of
agree
as
with
well.
that. I've followed Shovel Knights from its early days in Kickstarter, so yeah, definitely.
The problem is, of this list, I haven't actually played much of it. I mean, I own Transistor, but haven't actually even managed to find the time to get around to playing that bloody thing yet. Shovel Knight I've only watched on YouTube, and as I say, from what I've seen of it, what I know of it, I think it's probably a very worthy winner. Monument Valley. What is that on? I keep hearing people talk about this, and for some reason
Monument Valley.
This seems
It's
to
an
be sort
iOS
of,
game.
Is it iOS? Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've got it on my iPhone.
All right, that would explain why I've never found it on anything or seen it. It's like people keep talking about it, and I'm like, up until this point, it's never quite clocked. I've never really particularly clocked it for anything. And it's like, what is it? Where is it? How do I play it? Apparently, I can't play it. Thanks.
I like it. It's a really fun game.
All right, cool. And then you've got Broken Age, which is not actually a finished game, which is like, how really? It's a point-and-click adventure. What does it do to differentiate from all of the other point-and-click adventures in existence? How does it differentiate it from itself from all of the Daedalic stuff? I mean, for example, there's Randall's Monday, which mechanically is identical pretty much to Broken Age, which is find objects and rub them on objects until the door opens. They hired some very expensive actors for Broken Age, and it's a very pretty game, but contender for best indie? Yeah, not so sure about that.
You've been slighted, John.
Slighted?
You haven't won.
Looking.
You didn't win Trending Gamer.
I know, right? I should have been there.
Who is this Total Biscuit guy?
I've never heard of the man. He's a complete hack. I believe he's ripped off my style as well.
Oh.
My first impressions format, I was doing that way before WTF is. Maybe. The above may or may not be true.
It depends on who you believe. and how gullible you are.
Yes. I cater to the gullible audience. But bear in mind that fans' choice, these were online vote things. These were not picked by an independent jury of peoples. This was online vote. Which actually makes the Trending Gamer one more interesting, because when you consider who he was up against, which is to say PewDiePie and Stampy Longhead at the very least.
Yeah, he's done alright there, Total Biscuit.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling, I think he's, of the people who actually command a large audience, I think he's probably one of the few that genuinely pushed his audience to go vote for him, to be honest. Because obviously I follow a lot of his content on YouTube, and he's put out several videos in the last few weeks where he's like, hey, I'm over here on these gaming awards, why don't you go vote for me? I'm not aware that PewDiePie has done that, because if PewDiePie had done that, he would have won it. Basically. Yeah. The man has an audience of 30 million plus. If he says, go vote on me in these gaming awards, he's going to win those gaming awards. So I don't think PewDiePie actually did that. Total Biscuit has... Oh my god, Total Biscuit has got... What has he got? About 5% of PewDiePie's audience. Total Biscuit's huge, but he's got about 5% of PewDiePie's audience.
Well, anyway, if anyone would like to check out the full list of winners and go complain about it, that can be found at Forbes.com.
One other point on that Trending Gamer, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone have any idea who Evan Vanos Fong is? Because I don't know who that is.
Never heard that name.
Me neither. No, I have no clue.
That might be a fun YouTube experiment. Let's check him out and see what we think.
He is youtube.com/VanosGaming, apparently. And if I click on this, it's going to start auto-playing some shit, isn't it?
Possibly.
Shut up. Nope, don't you play that video. Oh yeah, he's got 10 million subscribers. He's got 10 million subscribers. I have never heard of him. How did that happen?
That's quite the achievement.
That's pretty impressive. Most of the ridiculously huge people you've usually heard of somewhere, I've never heard of this guy. He's at 9.9 million subs.
Let's all watch his YouTube videos and see what we think.
That's not, because if I click play, that's all going to come up on the recording, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, of those, honestly, I do think Stampy Longhead's doing something good there with what he's basically doing is making children's TV out of Minecraft, which is quite impressive.
Mm.
I've seen there's someone we've done some work with in the local area that's running other gaming stuff. I saw him post on Twitter not so long ago. He's like, his kid's a big fan of Stampy Longhair, and he's like, oh, he's doing such a good thing. My kid's really engaged with his entertainment. He's such a good role model for the kids. And he's like, that's really cool. I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, what's he doing? It was Minecraft. It's a ridiculously huge channel, and he's making Minecraft content. What's he doing? It's like, when I watched it, I was like, this just seems like this is like a children's TV show, like aimed at like 5 and under kind of thing. And it's CBeebies kind of thing, but in Minecraft. I was like, okay. Well, he seems to have a good thing going on. He seems to be doing a good thing, so
yeah,
I'm okay with that. I
Nothing
wouldn't
wrong.
watch it, but I'm okay with it.
It's nothing wrong with it.
So yeah, those are Trending Gamers. Oh, and best fan creation. Really? Twitch plays Pokemon? Although, to be fair, they weren't competing with much interesting.
Yeah.
Like Luigi Death Stare.
Yeah. Well,
fan creations are limited, I think, for the year.
Yeah. Well, like we said, Forbes.com if you want to see the full list.
Pick any gaming site. I imagine most of them will have it on there, to be honest. But the one we were just referring to was on Forbes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we're getting this from.
Yep. So those are the choice highlights of the gaming news that we've chosen to pick out for your delectation this week. Shall we move on to new gaming releases for the week?
And now, new gaming releases for the week.
So, starting things off with stuff that's not Steam. What date are we on here? Someone.
It's the 7th, so...
I planned this like 3 hours in advance and I still didn't scroll far enough down the page to find the 7th of December.
Our first release is for the 9th, so you're looking for Scourge Outbreak.
Scourge Outbreak, I see the one. For PlayStation Network on the PS3 is a third-person shooter using the Unreal Engine 3. And it's one of those things that we really don't have much going on. It's got some box art. And it's got some woman whose arm is apparently plagued with something.
Looks a bit Terminator with the eye.
Yeah, something to do with Terminator and Plague, I think.
It's a cross.
To download on the 3DS, we've got Ace Attorney, a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, also in HD apparently. What resolution does the 3DS do? Are they allowed to call it HD? I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure the resolution of the handheld consoles was that high these days yet, is it? I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but...
I suppose when you think about stuff like your smartphones and tablets and stuff, they're pretty high res now, so maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, I can watch YouTube videos in high definition on my phone, so it must be.
Okay. There you go. Ace Attorney in HD to download on your 3DS. Have fun. On PS4, we've got Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. Michael, you're a Lara Croft fan.
Yes, I am. I like Tomb Raider games. I think this is just a standard re-release for... just so they've got a Lara Croft game on PS4.
It's just there to fill the gap.
Well, Tomb Raider...
Is that your cynical viewpoint? They're only making because they didn't have a Lara Croft game.
Well, we know that the next Tomb Raider game's coming out in 2015, isn't it?
It's not a franchise I follow terribly closely, so I'm afraid I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's out next Christmas, the new one. That'll be the follow-up from the one they released last year, I think it was.
Right.
So, yeah. If you want to play...
I'll say the description...
revisit this.
Yeah, the description on this one does describe it as a dual-stick shooter, which is like, really? The Lara Croft dual-stick shooter?
I will be honest, I haven't played this particular one, so...
Well, so Temple of Osiris features up to 4-player co-op, and as it says, there's not a lot of information on this page on it, to be honest, and it does describe it as a dual-stick shooter, which seems like they did that with Halo very briefly. It was kind of like one of those filler games where it's like, yeah, here's a kind of a game that's got the IP on the box, but nothing else going on. And that one didn't sell too well either.
I apologise, I've confused this with something else.
Oh, have you?
This is a first PS4 exclusive. So this is a brand new game.
You say it's a PS4 exclusive, but at the top of the page it also says PC and Xbox One.
No, I think it's a new one for the consoles, specifically.
Okay.
No, I apologise, I got a bit confused there.
Oh, no worries. Okay, fair enough. Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams Director's Cut Edition for the PS4. This has been out on PC for some time. Matter of fact, I think I own that now. I picked that up in some bundle at some point. Still never got around to playing it. I think it's a old school-ish style Super Mario Brothers inspired platformer, it's described as. I believe Giana Sisters actually was a game from, I don't know when, a long time ago, way back in the day. Back when I were a wee young'un.
Back when I were a lad. On Mars bars cost 20p.
Indeed. Back when wagon wheels were still large.
Oh dear.
Yeah. There was a really old side-scrolling platformer thing, character platformer as they were back in the day, which was Giana Sisters, and they not a year or so ago, I guess. Yeah, October 2012, 2 years ago, they re-released this, did it up. I think that went through Steam Greenlight as well, actually, and ended up on Steam. So it's been out a little while now. It's now on PS4.
If you want it.
We have Fly Hunter Origins for PlayStation Vita, which that box art looks interesting.
It's not exactly selling it to me.
Yeah. It's only got concept art in the images as well, so I can't tell what I'm looking at here. It is described as being a sci-fi platformer game developed by former Pixar artists. So, hey, at least it's got some artistic talent, but just because you can art things doesn't necessarily mean you can make a game. but I don't know.
Well, if you want to hunt flies, this is the game.
The artwork is literally flypaper with flies stuck to it. I don't know what this is. It's weird. Steel Wool Games stars hapless janitor Zack who must recover a collection of valuable insects he accidentally disposed of before the higher-ups notice they're missing. Alright.
Okay. I'm not sold.
We have Juju, which is a side-scrolling platformer from Flying Wild Hog. I know this is out on Steam later this week as well, because I spotted that one earlier. This is a weird one. It's a very bright, colourful, side-scrolling character platformer kind of deal. Bright, vibrant, child-friendly kind of deal. Do you guys know who Flying Wild Hog are?
No.
Right now?
They are the guys who made Shadow Warrior not so long ago. Which
right.
is a fairly brutal first-person shooter with, I think, some swordplay and shit, which is a remake of the old version of Shadow Warrior, which was similar, I think. They're also, I think a lot of the studio are the guys who were formerly in People Can Fly, who worked on Bulletstorm.
Oh yeah, I remember
Like
Bulletstorm.
You know Bulletstorm, right?
Yeah, Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
Great game.
And they also made, what's it called? Painkiller. The original. The very first.
I remember that.
Yeah. So these are the people who made Painkiller, Bulletstorm, and Shadow Warrior. They got a pedigree for making brutal, over-the-top, super gratuitous violence and gore first-person shooters. They're now doing this really colourful and friendly side-scrolling platformer for kids. This just seems a little bit incongruous.
The irony.
I know. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they're probably pretty good developers. I think they've got a lot of good stuff under their belt. But at the same time, it's like, you have never in your lives made anything like this. What's going on?
Well, I guess somebody's decided to have a go.
I guess they wanted to go in a different direction. Yes. We have what is this? Rock Boschers DX Director's Cut. What is a Boscher? Can someone please elaborate on what a Boscher might be?
No, I don't have anything.
I don't know what that is either. It is apparently a demake of Red Faction. It's styled in the ZX Spectrum style. It's interesting.
Oh my god, I've just checked it in Urban Dictionary.
Alright, go on.
What's a Boscher?
Boscher, a male who tentatively itches his balls in public affairs.
I don't think that's necessarily what they were going for. Is that the only definition as well?
Yep, only definition.
Well,
So it's a game about scratching your balls, folks.
if you're really into that, there you go.
Okay. I like the title of this next one.
Tennis in the face.
Yes. It's a tennis-themed physics-based puzzle game by 10 Tons.
I can't think of anything more boring than a tennis-themed puzzle game.
Yeah, very hard to actually... I mean, again, no screenshots, not much information on it other than system requirements, so can't tell you much about it beyond what we've said. I just say iPad, so it may just be a mobile port thing. But I like the name, if nothing else. Tennis in the Face. Got a re-release of... how do I pronounce that? Suikoden 2?
Suikoden, yeah.
Yeah, Suikoden 2, originally December 1998 from the PlayStation 1. Now being re-released for your PlayStation Network things. If you want to play it on new stuff, you can go do that. Lucadian Chronicles for the Wii U is a card-based free-to-play strategy game.
There have never been any of those before.
No. It's... what the heck? I'm looking at the screenshots, I can't make out what's going on.
Let's have a gander.
I think it's the weird Wii overlay that's kind of... on the base of it, it's like, yes, that's a card game. And then there's like, in the screenshot, there's like a Wii pop-up, there's a speech bubble of Amanda with her Mii avatar. Then there's some black and white pixel art representation of one of the cards. And then apparently, I guess it must have been Amanda has been asked to draw this card, and then there's some really crappy, probably done with a Wiimote scribbling to try and draw a woman's face, which is represented on this card.
Yeah, this looks very bizarre.
It's like, is that a game mechanic where you have to draw what you see? Is this catchphrase now?
Say what you see. Say what you see.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck? I'm not sure what these mechanics are.
I think we've missed a trick if Roy Walker's not in that.
Well, there's another screenshot where Amanda has just drawn a picture of Pac-Man ghost moving quickly and the word spooky above it.
Oh, Amanda.
Is this just some part of the Wii interface that I'm not familiar with because I don't own one of these consoles? Are you allowed to just annotate anything on the screen however you wish, with whatever drawings you wish? I suppose it's got the screen. Does the screen thing that comes with the Wii U, is that a touch screen?
I don't think so.
I'm not familiar enough with it to know whether it is. I really have not paid any attention to the Wii U, particularly since its launch. I was like, oh, they did another thing. Okay, back to PC.
We'll have to make a note to ask Sunil about that.
Yeah.
No.
That would explain the drawings and things. If it's got the tablet thing going on, you could just do a quick sketch and scribble stuff down. But the idea of just being able to annotate whatever the heck you want in the game and just label a level as spooky or something, it's like, this is weird. What a strange set of screenshots. We have Final Fantasy 13-2 for PC, which is, well, it's Final Fantasy 13-2, which is the sequel to Final Fantasy 13.
Should be fairly self-explanatory.
Which is, yeah, I don't... When and how and why did this start happening? I was like, they made like loads and loads and loads and loads of games. Final Fantasies were always these self-contained things, and all of a sudden it's suddenly like, oh yes, we're going to make sequels to these things, but we're not going to continue the numbering in any kind of reasonable fashion.
Yeah. It's gotten a little bizarre now.
So yeah, this is another one of the ones that they decided they didn't want to leave go after the first game, so this is 13-2. It's available on PC if you did not already pick it up on consoles first time around. It's now on PC.
Good.
We have BlazBlue Continuum Shift Extend.
Which is a name that just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, so it's described as yet another updated version of BlazBlue Continuum Shift, which suggests that it's not the first one. This is I believe this is a fighting game of some sort, not something I ever got into. I'm not much of one for fighting games, generally. I am pretty bad at them.
You're going to love the last game, man.
Oh, yes. Before that, we got Zeo Drifter, which is a Metroidvania-style sci-fi adventure from Renegade Kid for the Nintendo 3DS eShop. Now, who the heck were Renegade Kid? Because I recognise that name.
Oh, God.
They made nothing that I recognise. Oh, and Mutant Mudds and Colt County? I recognise the logos from, if nothing else. I don't think I've ever played any of their things, but I recognise some of their games, I guess. So this is, yeah, as I say, it's a pixel arty kind of Metroidvania-y thing, another old style thing. These are really popular all of a sudden, doing the really super retro styled stuff. A good bit of Metroidvania type things as well, which I don't necessarily dislike. Metroidvania is fun. I can dig that.
Yeah. Might be alright.
It might be alright. There's our final verdict.
We don't know.
The next one is actually one I intentionally left off our Steam list because this is clearly just a remake of something fucking ancient. Which is the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match Final Edition.
But this is the final edition.
Well, this one would hope. It was clearly not the final edition when they released it in 1998, so... This is the 2014 edition, 16 years later. So, yes, if you want to pick that up on PC, you can do so. If you were a big fan of the original, I imagine that's for those folks. What have we got on upcoming Steam games?
And now, Steam games.
Cool. I think I just closed the wrong tab as well. It was like I had two Steam tabs open and I was like, oh, one of these is the wrong one. This was something else I was browsing and I think I closed my list. I am good at this.
Have we not done Cargo 3 yet? I'm sure we have.
Yes, we did that last week. That's another one that's been pushed back. We can ignore it if you want.
Okay.
We have Dokuro. I can't remember for the life of me what that was. This is a puzzle platformer thing, I think, involving chalk. There's a lot of chalk drawings and drawing on chalkboards and stuff.
Everyone loves chalk.
Yeah, the screenshot I'm looking at is like on a drawing on a blackboard of a sword cutting a rope to drop a box on someone's head, and it's like, does this mechanic play out through the chalkboard, or I don't know. I wonder if this is something that's been ported from some kind of touchscreen, because I feel like chalk as a mechanic has been done before, but generally done with a touchscreen kind of interface.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Actually, yeah, looking at another screenshot, there's kind of a dial in the corner that's got to touch this with your finger and rotate the dial kind of as the UI on top of it. So I think this was something that previously was on some kind of touchscreen format. So possibly a mobile platform thing. We've already done Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris.
So we've got iZombie.
iZombie, which I need to play this. I've been sent a review copy of this. I haven't actually had a look at it yet, so I will probably check this out to report back next week. It is apparently you play as the zombie and need to eat people. That's about all I know about it, I'm afraid.
That's pretty simplistic, I think.
Yeah. I'm looking at the levels and it's still got, try and get 3 stars on each level, which again kind of screams mobile, I'm afraid. And it's like, can we not come up with some better mechanics in this for making progression? Why does everything have to be get 3 stars and do the next level?
Because that's the way the world works.
The world does not need to work like that. We have Frontline, The Longest Day, which is from a publisher we discussed not so long ago, which was Slitherine Limited. Seems to be one of those developers who really, really loves doing historical stuff, and this is more historical stuff. This is commanding the Allied forces through the battles of I guess the Second World War, is it? One of the World Wars.
There's a war going on.
1944, it's the Second World War, yes. So it's a strategy game set in the Second World War from a developer who really loves that. Publisher who really loves that, even. We have Bliss. Bliss is another puzzle platform thing with a heavy story about life and psychology and told without words. Which is... I'm not quite sure what's going on with this. It's kind of got... Some of this looks a lot like Limbo, and then some of it just doesn't. Some of it looks more like Pikmin, and some of it looks more like Limbo. It's like, where are you going with this style? I'm not sure what's going on there.
Maybe it might be a hybrid.
Pikmin meets Limbo. I'm sure. There's a genre for you. We got Basket Bell, which is an experimental 2D basketball-based platformer where each chapter uses the mechanics and idea of basketball in a different way.
Interesting.
I feel like I've heard of this somewhere before. I remember the name and being intrigued by the concept, but at this point in time, I can't for the life of me remember any details of it whatsoever. It's got an interesting style going on. It really, really likes the colour purple, I guess, because everything in the game is purple. And I don't know, it could be interesting. I don't quite... Like I say, it seems like they're going for very different stuff, I guess. It's experimental and uses basketball in different ways. Just in case you were tired of all those games using basketball in the typical way.
Yeah, it was time for a change.
We have Alone in the Dark Illumination, which I guess is a sequel to Alone in the Dark. Will, did you play that?
I played the 360 version. I think there's been versions since.
Oh, right. I'm not familiar with it in any way, shape, or form, so I was hoping you would be able to
that
illuminate us. Get it?
Wow.
That game wasn't very good.
Boo.
Okay. Were you booing the game or were you booing the pun? Or were you booing Boo Earns?
I was saying Boo Earns.
Good. So you don't have any high expectations for Alone in the Dark Illumination?
No, it's never been a good series.
Okay.
No,
Fair enough. I'll take your word on that. What else do we have? We have Crash and Burn Racing, which is some manner of combat racing thingamajig.
Thingamajig.
It looks fairly a fairly cartoony kind of thing. It's a very simplistic world. Lots of explosions and rockets. Probably not the sequel to MASH that we were all dying for, because they just made one of those not so long ago, and it was awesome. But, I don't know. If you're into combat racing, maybe worth a look. I don't mind combat racing. It could be quite cool, but... we have... next one's interesting. Next one's very interesting. I know I sent you a copy of this one, Will. Have you played it yet?
I haven't, no.
Oh, for shame. Elegy for a Dead World is out on Wednesday, which is Dejaban and Pop Cannibal's upcoming game, which is a game about creative writing, which sees you in a really gorgeously stylized world done by the artist Luigi Guattieri. And I suppose, since this is where journalism's going, full disclosure, I know the developers. I'm on pretty good terms with them, so kind of friends there. Maybe some kind of bias, but I think this game's pretty neat. So just full disclosure, so you know I'm not, that terrible nepotism within the games industry and all that.
You're what we're fighting against.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, Elegy for Dead World, a beautiful stylized game. Basically, you're going to wander through it, and you're going to be given a bunch of writing prompts. And it's you can either have a blank slate and write about whatever you want, or just basically using the world as inspiration, or they'll give you sort of a template kind of Mad Lib style, where it's like, here's some stuff, here's a bunch of blanks, fill in the blanks.
Blankety blank.
Mm-hmm. So if you're into writing in any way, shape, or form, that's probably something you want to keep an eye out. I think it's one of the more interesting titles of the year. Definitely. We have... This was on the other list under a different name, wasn't it?
What?
Here we've got Fly Hunter Origins. The other one wasn't Origins, was it?
No, it was Fly Hunter Origins.
Sorry?
No, it was Fly Hunter Origins.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Same game again then. Fly Hunter, yeah. You can probably find out more on the Steam page than you can through Giant Bomb, if nothing else.
I was going to say it's got a lot more pictures and an actual description for it.
I think Steam actually requires you to have some information on your game before they sell it. Which I'm not sure Giant Bomb cares about.
Yeah.
As we already mentioned, Cargo 3, mentioned that last week, been pushed back a week, I guess. Juju, we already did. Zeo Drifter, I think we just took a look at, didn't we? Yes, that's the Metroidvania thing. Final Fantasy, man, I got so many duplicates. Talos Principle, we looked at this a little while back, didn't we? I think this is another one that's been pushed back some time.
It does sound familiar.
I think it's been pushed back maybe like a month or more, but we've definitely had a look at it before, I think. It's a first-person puzzle game made by the guy who made FTL.
Oh, yes.
Someone from also who worked on the Swapper, and Jonas Kairatsis, who's made some interesting stuff in the past as well. It's a first-person puzzle game in the tradition of philosophical science fiction. It looks very pretty. I'm not quite sure what it's about. There are a lot of lasers. There are lasers everywhere in this. It just looks like firing lasers around medieval ruins by the looks of it, most of the screenshots. And who doesn't want to fire lasers around medieval ruins? We are BlazBlue we've already taken a look at. Nano Fights? We didn't do Nano Fights, did we?
Nope.
Nope, no Nano Fights.
Nano Fights is a online trading card game. Build your individual deck out of completely different factions and over 300 cards. And it doesn't look particularly... the thing is, it doesn't look particularly nice, I think is what I would say, when one considers that dominating the card market at this point is Hearthstone, which they spent a ridiculous amount of time making look fucking gorgeous through and through. Most of the appeal of Hearthstone is that it looks fucking great. If you don't make your card game look as good as Hearthstone, unfortunately you're fighting a losing battle there, I'm afraid, with cards. And this looks kind of simplistic. So there's that. And finally we've got It's a Wipe. I want to take a look at this. I do want to take a look at this. This is weird.
It looks very weird.
All of the fun of managing a guild without the people. It's,
What so?
it's basically doing a 40-man raid in World of Warcraft without the 40-man raid. without having to manage 39 other people.
Which is an attractive proposition.
It's interesting, yeah. You know what? I have no idea how this is going to play out. It looks really basic. It looks really old school. But the concept's very, very original. A game of fantasy guild management. You must recruit other players, lead them to a victory against increasingly difficult odds, and make sure the group remains happy enough to stick with you. Otherwise they're going to quit your guild, I presume.
Oh dear.
If you wipe too many times, they're going to find a better guild, maybe. I don't know. That's a very interesting concept. I want to check this out. It doesn't look particularly amazing, but the concept sounds fantastic. I definitely need to check that one out. Yep. That'll just about do our releases for the week, though. That's kind of our last one. You wanna take us out?
Yes. Sorry, I had to clear the throat there.
And you need to prepare for such an announcement with such gravitas.
Oh yes, I'll be yes.
And to project your voice to the audience at the back, remember?
Yep, I'm with you.
None of this mumbling under the footlights.
Oh, you're a dick.
I know, it's what I do.
Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We truly appreciate it. And if you want to find out more about Button Mash, you can follow us on Facebook at
facebook.com/buttonmash.
You can follow us on Twitter at
twitter.com/button_mash_UK.
If you would like to watch John play some YouTube videos, his channel can be found at.
If you'd like to watch me play some videos.
That's basically what you do.
Yeah, no, that's what Cartman does.
Oh yeah, we didn't discuss that, did we?
We didn't even get onto that. Oh, we should have talked about that. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I haven't watched the episode yet, so...
Alright. Yeah, no, I make videos. If someone wants to make videos of me playing games and talk about me, that's fine, but I don't make videos about videos. I make videos about games!
If you would like to watch John's videos of games that he's made... Oh, sorry, I said that wrong again.
No, I think that was right. It was awkwardly phrased, but I think you got it.
John has a YouTube. It can be found at...
youtube.com/buttonmashempire.
You can find us on Steam at...
bit.ly/bmsteam.
And we have a website that can be found at
button-mash.net.
And again, begrudgingly, if you would like to pay John to make some YouTube content, you can follow his Patreon, which is at
patreon.com/buttonmash.
This has been the Button Mash Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. On behalf of myself, on behalf of John,
Thank you.
and on behalf of Will,
Thank you.
this has been Button Mash Podcast, and we will see you as always next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Cheery bye.